All right, hi everyone. So we're at the Wiki site here, and I just wanted to look at a few of the examples that have already been posted, and get a sense of what we're looking at and what you might put into some of your entries. So we've got a number of things that people have already posted. You can scroll down here, and you can see that it goes up to so far 27 documents. So that's a good start. You have about a weekish or so, somewhere around there, to post your first examples. And I'm really looking for maybe like two or so from each person. Some of you have already posted that many, and some of you have done even more than that. This assignment I've deliberately split into two parts so that you get a grade for it partway through the term, and then you'll get another grade at the end of the term. And I'll be looking for a couple more at that point, three or four maybe total. And so we've got a number of people who have put in some examples which are great. So let's look at a couple of these here. We've got the Dali Museum represented. That's great. That's a good example of certainly of the humanities, and so it's interesting to think about what the digital part is. So we can take a look at it here. We can bring up the Dali Museum site, and as with most museums, of course, they have they have a web page, and so you can see the bio for Dali, and you can see the art. And it's not coming in for some reason, or it's maybe just slow. I don't know. So you can see a number of things of this sort. So fair enough. I mean, at this level, I don't know if I'd call it digital humanities yet, but it's certainly a kind of promotional sort of thing for the museum itself. There may be a digital element in here more than simply that kind of front end website, and if so, great. That would be good to kind of make clear in a page like this. We've got some other examples. Let's just take a few of these here. California Language Archive, that's interesting. Catalog and online archive for Indigenous languages of California. So you've got the description, you've got the overview, you've got partners and funding. So all of that's great. This is excellent kind of content to have here. This gives you a good idea of some of the basics of the site, and of course we've got the project website, and you've got the contact information as well. So that's a nice start. It's a good entry. It's an interesting project. It's an archival project, which is a form of digital humanities, so that's great. Let's look at a few others here. We've got Victorian Women's Writers Project. Let's see, it's got a bit of a history to it here. And we can look at the project website. Let's go there for a moment. This is not a project that I know very much about, but it looks like it's got a few women writers here that you can do searches on. We've got project information, so we've got copyright information, partners, publications. Let's look at an encoding overview. So they're doing TEI, which is Text Encoding Initiative. There we go, right up there. So that means that they're doing what's called meta tagging here. They've got standardized generalized markup language, SGML, which is a form of XML, and so they're marking up all of these files, which is great, which makes this really a digital humanities project. So this is a good example. We've got technical information overview. So as I say, they're using XTF here, Extensible Text Framework, which is an XML format. So they've got approximately 200 original texts that they're marking up. So they're really trying to do a kind of good job of their archiving here, so that it's searchable within a very clear and a manner that's more advanced than something like Google might be able to search them. So if we click on, let's say, Harriet Martineau, we've got publications here for her. We can click on that and see what comes up. Doesn't look like anything came up there. Let's click on the book itself. Okay, here we go. We've got some information. We can go into the book itself. I'm just trying to see what they've done. Let's see the document information. So they've got the full text up here for Harriet Martineau, which is great. So anyway, we don't really have to go this far into the project itself, but all of this to just say that this is a great example of a text archiving project. We can find out a few things about the kind of tools that they're using, which is great. Let's go on and look at a few others here. So we've got online virtual tours of the Louvre. Okay, so this one, the access for this one is private right now. So that's only accessing for the members of the class itself. So that's fine for the moment. Ultimately, we'll want to open this up for others. We've got the self-description, which is again a good thing. We've got the partners, we've got the funding, we've got the site info. So all of this is good. All of this gives us information about this project, and we can go there if we want. This is the English site. I'm sure there's a French version of it as well. Here we go. Select language. Oh, it actually looks like quite a few languages here. So we can see the online tours of the Louvre. And so let's see what these look like. Here we have the moat. Let's see the virtual tour. All right. So this allows us to look around the room, which is interesting, the rotunda. And we could go to different places here. And we get a panoramic view again. So it's really a kind of way of walking through. Yeah, look, here we go. So we can walk through the site itself. So in other words, we can, we basically have a kind of virtual tour here, a virtual trip through through this part of the Louvre. So, so that's interesting. That gives us a kind of, something more than just a kind of static repository of, let's say, paintings or something like that. That's an attempt to kind of virtually put you in the place. So yeah, that counts as an interesting digital humanities project as well. I would probably, if I was doing the description of this, add a little bit more to the self-description. I might put another bit on the description that would talk a little bit about that kind of panoramic sort of thing. They do talk about that a little bit in their self-description up here. I just might make that a little bit more elaborate. Let's take a look at other things that we've got up here right now. London Lives, or maybe London Lives, I don't know. All right, so we've got a fairly brief entry here. We've got the link and we've got the self-reporting here. So let's go to the site itself and see what we've got. Okay, so this is a searchable edition of 240,000 manuscripts from 8 archives, giving many names. Okay, so this is a digitization of a kind of bringing together elements of a number of different archives here. So this definitely would require some digital know-how. Bringing all of that together doesn't necessarily mean bringing it all into a single database, but it may simply mean using what are called APIs, which are ways of having computers talk to other computers. You can have computers, databases interface with each other and use each other's databases for their own purposes. And so that's often what happens on things like this. And so you can search for keywords here. And so let's put in a keyword. I don't know. We're going to put in Smith, and that's probably going to turn up a million things. Yep. So we've got only 20 here. So let's click on a random one and see what we get. So what we're getting here looks like parish payments to paupers. And we've got about this document type. It tells us a little bit about that kind of document, those kind of payment documents, which is useful. And it gives us a list of who these people were. And the Smith one that I just searched for is right there. So it looks like this is the kind of thing that would be useful if you already have a sense of what's going on in London during these years, between those two dates right there, and you want to start looking for, um, what specific people, were doing and how they're showing up in these databases. So fair enough. I would suggest having a little bit more than this. We saw in some of the other ones that we looked at earlier a little bit more information than this. We do have this basic information here, but I would suggest doing a small write-up about what the fundamental purpose of this project is, not just from the site's point of view, the kind of self-reporting, but from your point of view, what is going on? Why does this site matter? And what is the digital tool? What are they actually trying to do to make this work? So let's keep going here. Let's see. We've got the Heard Museum. A number of people have put in things about museums. Okay, so that's a start, but we'll need more than that for an annotation. So we can go to it here, and it looks like what we've got is a tag. It doesn't take us to the site itself. So at the very least, what we're going to need is a link to the site itself and a little bit more information. Again, remember that the point of this is to try and make a kind of list of projects that are out there that we can all use basically. So try and be a little bit more thorough than that. Some of the ones that we've looked at so far seem to do that pretty well. Let's take a look at this one here, Mapping the Republic of Letters. So they've got a number of mapping projects. This is the site itself. We should try and make it clickable. So I'm going to copy this and just go over to a new page and go into it there. Here we go, Mapping the Republic of Letters. And so what we've got here is, looks like a fairly ambitious project. I'm just going to try and go into it here. I've clicked on this timeline, and you can see we've got a little thing spinning around here. There we go. So what it's done, it's basically just enlarged it for us. That's not what we want. Case studies. Let's see what we've got here. All right. So we've got a number of figures from the Enlightenment. Let's go take a look at what's in the Grand Tours. Grand Tour Travelers, information, data visualization. So what you want to do here is, if you're writing a project like this up, you'd want to just basically clarify, what is this about? What are they trying to do here? These are destinations. Let's see if they're not clickable. We've got route maps where various people actually went. So, all right, so let's look at another one. Let's look at Franklin, Ben Franklin. Visualizing Ben Franklin's correspondence network. So what we've got here is looking at who Ben Franklin actually corresponded with. All right. Got a number of charts that seem to try and address those kind of questions. Who are his top correspondents by volume of correspondence? We've got a list of those. So really trying to kind of quantify who he's talking to. Let's look at the Spanish Empire. What do we got here? Well, it looks like we've got something like a PowerPoint or something like that. That probably helps us make some sense out of all of this and some related sort of things. So, this is a very interesting project that we have here, and I would suggest, a little more explanation. We've got some basic explanation here that's taken off of the site itself. I'd suggest a little bit more that actually clarifies, what the point of all of this is, and, maybe the kinds of digital tools that are used. I'd also suggest making any URLs actually clickable so that you can go directly there. Let's just take another look at something else here. We're going to go to the last page and let's see what we've got. Oh, the Ringling. Let's see what we've got here. So the Ringling, it's a portal for the art collection of John and Mabel Ringling. of the Ringling Museum. And so we've got a very ambitious site here, a kind of online gallery basically. And so we can click on various aspects of that and we can see elements that I suspect are mostly related to Ringling Circus or Ringling Arts Festival or whatever. So looks like quite a well done website. They're using fairly cutting edge sort of web design here, which is great. Just kind of clicking through this to see what we've got here. All right, so that looks like an interesting one to work with. I would suggest, again, writing up a little bit more than what we have here. Again, the point of this is, the ultimate point of this is to help each other and to help anyone else interested in the digital humanities to kind of grasp what's going on in these particular examples. One other thing I'll mention here is that one thing I'm not seeing a lot of is people talking about tools. And so I would suggest that you might want to look at a few tools for doing the digital humanities. There are a number of those around that you could look at. Let me give you some examples. I'm just going to go to this place called Myth, which is University of Maryland Technology and the Humanities. They are a place that has done a lot with tools for humanities research. So let's take a look at their current projects, and they've got them all listed here. So we can see, let's see what's under this one here. Myth will work with Braille SC to undertake a second stage of development by designing and deploying a WordPress-based accessibility tool that will create Braille content. Okay. So there's one thing, active OCR, you know that OCR is optical character recognition. So this is an attempt to improve optical character recognition, which is important in humanities research. What else do we have here? They've got digital humanities data curation. So you can see they're trying to develop a few tools that will help with humanities research. We can also look at the center at George Mason University, the Roy Rosenzweig Center at George Mason University, because they're also a very good place for finding tools. You can see they've got a research and tools link here, and under that they've got quite a number of different things that aid in humanities research. So some of you might want to look at a few of these and talk a bit about that and include those in your wiki reports. So just a kind of few ideas of what you might do. Remember, the core of this is, giving us a clear sense of what's going on, giving us a link to it, doing a little bit of writing apart from what is just on the site itself to clarify what's going on. And, the better job you can do of that, the more useful you can make it to all the rest of us, the better it is. There is no particular word limit for these. I'm asking for a couple at this point, and like I say, I'll ask for 3 or 4 by the end of term. 2 or 3 more than you've already done, and so there's no word limit because these are vastly different. Some of these are extremely involved sites like Chinavine. Some of them are much more modest projects. So, it's hard to give a word limit when you're dealing with things that are that different from each other. But I would suggest, your goal should be clarity rather than simply word limit. If this first part of the assignment is not worth all that much, it's only worth about 5% at this time. The bulk of the assignment gets graded at the end of term. So think of this as a kind of, a first try at this. I'll be looking at these, I'll be making suggestions, and you can clean them up and you can do even more for the end of term. So the whole point of doing this now was to give you a kind of initial trial run with relatively little at stake so that you could try stuff out and that you could go from there. All right, so I hope that helps to clarify things a little bit. I know some of you may have been, a little concerned about how